School of Rock. Santa Ana.
Hi, my name is Akhamie. I'm a professional drummer, percussionist, songwriter, producer, designer, Navy veteran. Should I say anything else?
Everything, man. You got everything. Just keep listening. There's too many bullet points.
It's been kind of cool to practice saying good stuff about yourself, because
right.
I feel like you got to rehearse it.
It's tough. It's hard.
Situations like this.
Yeah, that elevator
tell
pitch.
Me a little about yourself. It's like, I play drums a little bit.
Right.
So
Everybody does it.
I kind of I've been rehearsing that, but
nice,
yeah, I've toured a little bit. Obviously, I was in the Navy band. We worked together in Japan.
That's right.
So it was an awesome experience. Now we're both out and still pursuing our careers as musicians. Yeah,
cool.
That's, I guess, a little bit of my introduction.
Yeah, thanks, Akhamie. I appreciate you joining me today and coming on to talk a little bit about drums. We'll do some drumming and talk about a few different things. And I know you're sponsored by Minol. You're one of their percussionists now, right?
Yeah, cymbals and percussion. So they really hooked me up.
Yeah, how'd that come about? How'd you start doing that? How'd you get that? How'd you get the gig? How'd that come about?
So it was through my Instagram.
Okay.
A drummer and 6-time Grammy winner Robert Sputt DMs me. He's the drummer for Ghost Note.
Oh dang, dude!
He DMs me and says, "I've been watching your videos for the last 24 hours. You're dope." And I'm like, okay. Cool.
Thank you.
Like, oh my God, this is like,
dude.
So I'm like, oh man, okay. I'm like, all right. So he's like, yeah. He's like, what do you like? Who are you with? Who are you working with? What are the companies that you like?
Yeah.
So at the time I was on tour. So this was like last year, October time frame. So I was like coming back from Israel. I think I was in Israel for a little bit, and then I was in Morocco. And so I was back and forth. But we were kind of keeping in touch, and he was just like, what are you using? What companies? I see you playing a lot of this percussion stuff, and I'm like, I'm demoing a lot of products for some of these newer companies, and that's what I was doing at the time, because I had like a bit of a following. Companies would send me stuff. Hey, try this out. Can you try this? Can you do a video? We'll send you free gear. I'm like, okay, cool. So that's what I was doing. So he sees all this percussion stuff. He's like, who are you working with? I'm like, at the time I was working with Peisty cymbals, and I was just not working with anyone else, just Peisty.
Okay.
And they were just like, he was like, well, I'm with Minol percussion, Minol cymbals. You should check some of their stuff out. Actually, would you be interested in me like hooking that up? And I was just like, I thought he was joking. I'm like, yeah, sure, that'd be cool.
Whatever. Yeah.
And like
this box shows up at your house.
The information to the AR, the artist rep. Next thing I know, the artist rep is emailing me. He's like, Robert Sputt hooked this up. He's like, take a look at our website. We want to make sure you like our gear.
Yeah.
Anything you want, anything you want. You let us know. We'll send it out to you.
Awesome.
And I was like, oh, cool. So I got the stuff. It was right before Christmas. I set it up. I was playing it. I was making videos, and I wasn't an artist with them yet. And I come back and I ask him, I'm like, so like, hey, check out the last video I did with your gear, and made like 100,000 views.
Yeah.
And it's doing really well. I sent it to him, and I was like, does this mean I'm an artist? And he was just like, does this mean I'm an artist?
Yeah. Have I made it? Am I doing it now?
Let's take it easy. We just want to make sure you really like the gear before we bring you on board. Yeah. And so we kind of talked about it again towards the beginning of the year. And by like early February, March, I came back and I was like, so I really like the stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, so how are you feeling? I was like, I would love to rep your guys' company and all that stuff. And he was just like, okay, sounds good. And I was just like, awesome. Oh, that was easy. And I was like, by the way, I play Peisty, but I really want to play Minol. And he was like, okay, we can make that happen.
Okay.
I was like, what?
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you said I like that you said that it was easy, and I like that you think that it was easy, but it's the perfect example of preparation and hard work meeting opportunity, right? opportunity happens and it comes along, not often, but it does happen, right? But if you're not putting in those hours, I mean, you were already making the videos, you were already doing your thing, you were making movements every day, right? You were moving that needle a little bit every day. You were on your Instagram, on your accounts, doing that stuff. And that's the most important thing, I think, for kids, especially, and people starting out to understand, is that, yes, it is absolutely opportunity, and there's a lot of luck involved. I mean, this guy saw you, and then you were able to get this deal, and then they liked you and all that stuff. That is an opportunity. Might call it luck or whatever, right? And that is just the smallest part, you know, like people look at like Beyonce or Justin Timberlake and they're like, man, they're just, you know, they're so lucky and they have this, and that's not untrue. They are lucky. It does take some of that opportunity. It does take that luck. But then what they don't see is the iceberg underneath, right? That Akhamie's pushing every day, that she's there practicing every day, that she's like, I love your pregnant drumming videos. Those are like the best. My wife is the same way, just like super motivated. She was pregnant, still like doing stuff, running around the house. Like, oh man, I'm like, baby, calm down, you know, but that's just who she is. And that's who you are as a person. I mean, you're putting in the work, you're doing the effort. And I think that is a really important takeaway, especially for people that are coming into the thing. Cause we all want stuff to happen right away. You know, we're like, man, I'm working hard. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm practicing every day. I'm doing this. Like, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? And the reality is, you know, it might never, but if you're not doing that work, if you're not doing that stuff, then definitely never, right? Like if you're not prepared when that opportunity comes around, that's never going to happen for you. It's all the work you do that nobody sees that then prepare you for when those opportunities come along. It's the perfect iceberg analogy, you know, like you've done all of this huge amount of work under the water that nobody saw. I mean, you're getting lots of views and stuff. I mean, personally, you were doing very well. And, you know, your Instagram, I mean, I was watching it and I know a lot of people were watching it, you know, but then all of that work sort of under the surface came together. And then once you had that opportunity, then it's like, man, now I'm ready. I've been prepared. I'm ready to do that, you know? So that's a great message. I really appreciate that. That's cool. Thanks for sharing that, man.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah. And then
it was a great opportunity, like you said. And it was just like, I was ready. I was on tour. That looked good too, you know, so, but yeah, it was perfect. And I'm just so grateful.
Yeah,
really.
Dude, absolutely, man. You got to be at some point, unless you're just really crazy, at some point you look and you're just like, I'm so thankful that all of these things happen. Like you just have to be grateful because you realize how many people are working hard and how many people are, you know, struggling and doing really awesome stuff that nobody sees, you know? And it's like, man, the more you learn, the more people you meet, the more opportunities you get, the more thankful you are, I think, or you should be, you know, that like, man, this opportunity happened. That's amazing. I'm really thankful, you know? So when you went from the Navy band, so we worked together in the Navy band in Japan. That's where we met each other. And that was an awesome opportunity. We got the chance to live in Japan, right? Like, oh my gosh, man, you know?
Yeah.
What a cool opportunity.
I met my husband. You met your wife. Right.
We both met our future spouses there. And you guys didn't get married in Japan though, did you?
No, we waited to, I got out and Brandon had just transferred back to the States.
Right. Yeah. We also didn't get married there. We met there, but then we got married, you know, several years later after that, but we met our future spouses there, man. That was cool. I really appreciated that. And we toured around Asia. We got a chance to do all that awesome stuff. I have, Jane Hoffman, Lieutenant Hoffman's going to come on the program actually and talk about the program and the Navy band. So we got a whole episode that's just going to be about the Navy band because I've had a lot of Navy band musicians on the show and they're all like, yeah, well, you know, we met here or there and this stuff. So I thought it would be good to do one with somebody who knows a lot about it. She started out as, you know, enlisted and went officer and just has a good perspective on the whole program. So we'll do a little show. So if you're interested in the Navy band and finding out what that's about, then just stay tuned and check out that episode. But so we met in the Navy band and then you got out after Japan. That was your first and only band. Is that true? Or did you do another one?
So I have an interesting kind of story about my experience in the music program. So after A school at, you know, Norfolk.
Yeah.
For who don't know what A school is.
Sure.
A school in Norfolk, Virginia. I had orders to go to Japan, but they wanted me to stay in Norfolk at the Fleet Forces Band first. They said, you should do a year. Here, you're 19 years old. Yeah. Before we send you, before we send you over to Japan.
Right. Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So I was like slated. Maybe I was slated actually to do like 6 months, just like a little bit of it, like And then, so I'm there for like 6 months. The drummer at the time is having some medical like issues and is going to get medically separated. So at that point, they're like, you're going to be in the rock band. I think I had a week to learn their show. Yeah. And so I was like, I was kind of, I was there longer than I was intended to be.
Gotcha.
So I was in Fleet Forces band for a year. And then after they got a drummer come in to replace me, I headed over to Japan, which was technically supposed to be my first band, but I was there for 3 years, and then I was getting ready to get out, and they were just like, "Hey, by the way, you go to Washington, we'll keep your contracts," because I had got a bonus. I got like a signing bonus, so I was on a 5-year contract. And they were trying to like get me to stay in. They were like, "Hey, we'll send you to Italy.
Sure.
Like we'll send you to Italy."
We want Akhamie. Whatever we can do.
I kind of just want to get out and go to school. They're just like, "All right, but Italy, are you sure?"
Sure.
Like, So I was like, I guess I had the option to stay in Japan, go to Italy, or go to Washington. State. Yeah. And I picked Washington State, and that kind of kept me pretty close to my my get out date. So I winded up being in for like 5.5, almost 6 years. Okay. But it was kind of interesting because I only technically did one enlistment. Like it was only supposed to be 5 years with the bonus, but I wound up being a little bit over. Okay. But yeah, to answer your question, that was 3 bands.
Yeah, in 5 years or 5-ish years. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That's rare. Yeah, that doesn't happen very often. Yeah. And then you got out in Washington. So it was kind of cool though to be able to experience, because you know how it is overseas, and then you come into like the stateside vibe, and it's completely different. So different. Yeah. Right. It's night and day. It could not be more different, man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there's a lot to say about that, but suffice it to say, Japan was pretty fun. Oh yeah. Really enjoyed it. Oh yeah. It's a great audience overseas, man. I don't know if you've gotten this as well, but like it seems to me that traveling around the States, it's just harder to get people interested in music. I feel like we see so much of it, like and the term entitled gets thrown around a lot, so I don't really want to use that, but it feels that way. It's like you're just sort of like music just happens around you, and that's how it's supposed to be, and then we kind of take it for granted, and when you're overseas, that's like that might be the only concert they've seen in years, that might be the only music that's ever come to their town, like you just feel this appreciation for yourself, but also just for music in general. You feel like connected to this global community of like, wow, music is really impactful. You see that benefit of like, man, we played music for these people and they opened up and they danced and it was just like so much fun for them and for us, makes it worthwhile, feels good.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. It was really cool. Like the whole, music is the universal language that they had like on the little thing. It's just like I didn't really understand, like I knew what that meant, but like going overseas, it really kind of put it into perspective. And then when I started like digging even deeper, like heartbeat, like our heartbeat, our vibrations, like all that type of stuff, getting like absolutely even that stuff. Yeah, not just like we speak a different language, but we're reading the same music, but like our vibes and that type of stuff. It's
fundamental to us as human beings, from the heartbeat to hearing our mother's heartbeat in the womb to the frequencies that we vibrate at when they're talking about like, getting off a little bit on the topic, but string theory and the vibration of atoms and like all this stuff. I mean, you're talking about life in general vibrates. I mean, everything has a vibration, and that's rhythm and that's frequency and that's all of that stuff. When you're talking about a vibe, words have power. They have meaning. The vibe that you have with someone, it's not just a random word. It's because you're vibrating at the same frequency as them. That's what a vibe is,
Yeah, man.
Love it.
I think we briefly talked about that before. Maybe I think in like a quick Instagram conversation. And,
man. It's so fundamental to who we are as human beings. It's why every culture, since before there was culture, I mean, since cavemen, they were making little reed flutes and banging on rocks and stuff. I mean, it's just something about us that needs to express itself in a musical way. Singing, vocalization, drumming, rhythm, all of these things are native to who we are as beings, as creatures,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Totally, man.
So then Washington, you were there with, was Brandon there with you as well, or was he still in Japan?
So we did a year-long, long-distance relationship, basically.
Okay. Yeah, so sure.
He was, because we overlapped 2 years in Japan. Okay. I got there basically a year before he did, and then I left, and he was still there for a year. So he was in Japan, I was in Washington, and we were just like, hi, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Nothing. What are you doing? You know, back and forth for a year. I think we saw each other maybe 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
You know,
tough. That's tough.
Over probably like for 2 weeks, you know, 2-week leave periods and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, you make it work, and you know, so that's history.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
Absolutely.
Now we have a baby.
Yeah, now you got beautiful Julian, man. He's awesome, dude. He's impressive. I see him in your drum videos, man. Like, he's got some good rhythm already. He's 16, 17 months now?
Yeah, he just turned 18 months.
18 months, okay, yeah.
Yeah, man, it's just like...
Man, it goes by.
It's amazing.
Yeah, dude. He's an awesome little dude. Yeah, I mean, I love, again, like from the pregnancy videos, I mean, he's getting it already in the womb, and then you're carrying him in the carrier and playing. I mean, I'm sure I know everybody loves those videos because they're cute and adorable. Anytime you put kids in your videos, you get like 1 million more views, you know, like that's, I will
say it doesn't top cat videos.
Man, what is the deal with cat videos? I don't get it, man. I guess I'm just not watching my proportionate share of cat videos. I've rarely watched a cat video. I got to be honest. They're hilarious. I love them, but I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. So awesome, man. And so you joined the Navy band right out of high school then. I mean, you must have been right out of high school, but you went to a performing arts high school, or how did you get into music? What's sort of the early Akhamie story?
So grew up in Woodbridge, Virginia, and went to a middle school there that was kind of like normal. But in Woodbridge, Virginia, they had at the time the option to have like a more kind of direct learning type of high school. Okay. So if you were like really into math and science, if you're really into like technology, there were certain schools in music, there were certain schools that you can go to. Okay. So I auditioned. My high school was just a Center for Fine and Performing Arts. Nice. Like music, dance, and art. And I remember wanting to do both art and music because I used to draw a lot. Yeah. And they were just like, you can't do both. You got to pick one. Oh, and I was like, it's going to be drums. So that kind of was like the deciding factor for me. Like, but it really just helped me dig in even deeper to music. And I used to play basketball like all through middle school, but I was just like, I got to dig in on this music thing if I'm really gonna, want to excel at it. So I went to a fine arts high school, and shortly after, like my freshman year in high school, I met my instructor, Miles Overton III. He was actually in the Army purchasing zone. So like behind, there's pictures of him behind the president, whoever it is. He's out now. He's retired, but like. Big black dude, just like the whole like vibe, man. It's just awesome. Yeah, so he was an instructor for like 3 years or so. And just really hit rudiments hard and the fundamentals and mallet percussion, and just really just completely exposed me to various styles of music. And then he also had gone to the Navy School of Music, Navy School of Music. He joined as a Marine initially, so he had that like. When I finished high school, and I wasn't intending to join the military, but I remember saying to my mom, like, "Hey, I'm gonna go. I got band practice." She's like, "No, you don't. You're done with that." Oh. I was like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "We're gonna practice, you know?" Yeah. She's like, "No, you like." She was like, "You got to move on. You got to do something else." And I was that like same day. I was like, I'm going to go join. I'm going to go talk to a recruiter. Yeah, absolutely. I got to figure this out. Yeah. I got to continue to pursue, like, this is what I want to do. Yeah. And, so that's kind of the background story on kind of how I started in the path of going into the music program. So I took my idea back to Mr. Overton, my instructor, because I was still, taking lessons with him after I graduated high school. Okay. And I was like, hey, I'm thinking about joining the Navy band. He was like, well, what made you decide Navy? And I was like, well, my dad told me not to do Army. Right. He told me not to do the Marine Corps. He told me not to
my only option left. Yeah, right.
He left 2 options. He said, do the Navy or the Air Force. Yeah. So I was like, he was like, okay, I'll look into the Navy. And I just typed in Navy band, and this whole thing popped up of like what was required. And I was like looking at it, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to really focus in on this and, go do this audition. Yeah. And he helped me with it. And the coolest thing was like, he had saved material from like when he was in school.
Oh, wow.
At the Navy School of Music.
Yeah.
And like after I got out and I was at the school, they were still using that same material. And I was like,
oh man. I don't know if that's good or bad, man. Like at least you were able to prepare, but boy, that sure says, man, maybe they need to update a little bit. I mean, music doesn't really change, but gosh,
It was like, and this was like, you know, your incoming audition to the music program.
Yeah, sure.
I like, they put the paper on and I'm like,
I've seen this.
I'm like, I've seen that before. Like I didn't say anything, but I was like, this is what I did in my lesson.
Like, this is great. I've been practicing this for months.
yeah, exactly. So that's kind of how the story on how I ended up in the music program.
That's cool. It sounds like your parents were fairly supportive that they wanted you to get like a career, that they wanted you to do something serious with music. But as long as you were doing something, I mean, they supported your decision, right? Once you chose. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. My parents were very supportive. Like they got me a drum set pretty early on.
Cool.
I was about 13.
Yeah.
But yeah, they kind of just saw me going to school first. Like they were like, just go to school.
Yep.
And I had auditioned for some universities, some music ones, but I didn't get in. So it was like, I was like, and I had this mindset. I had this idea. I was like, I don't want to pay money to play music.
Dude.
I was like, because you go to school and you pay money.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to
get paid to play music. Yeah, absolutely.
So that was kind of my mindset. And it was kind of interesting because like in my little bio post like high school graduation type thing that we were doing for graduation, I was like, I didn't necessarily know how it was going to happen, but I was like, I'm going to play drums professionally. Yeah. Who knows how? I'm just going to do it.
Right. Yeah.
And you know, that opportunity, you know, that mindset, that thought kind of manifested itself pretty quickly, and you know, things lined up, and I was off to boot camp, and you know, did that whole thing, and
nice, man.
And,
you got to have that idea. I think that a lot of people that are successful have is like you have it early on, and it's this feeling, right? It's not even necessarily like a directed plan. Like if people asked you, like you said, if they asked you, you're going to go into the military bands, no way, man. Like, what is that? You know, but you had an idea, you knew what you wanted to do. I'm going to make a living doing what I love, playing music and making that happen. And when you have that kind of a drive and you have that kind of vision and you know you're going to do whatever it takes to make it happen, you're going to do whatever it takes to make it happen, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Did your parents play? Do your parents play music at all?
My mom, she like sings in the choir and stuff.
Okay.
And so I was exposed to music in church early on. So I was like 5 years old, and like I saw my family, my cousin playing the drums like as a little 5-year-old, and I was like, that's what I'm gonna do.
That was it.
Like, that's what I was like, that is my voice right there. That's my instrument. And I was
awesome.
Like, I was just always just trying to be on the drums, trying to get the sticks and trying to play.
Yeah.
So, but it was kind of one drum set type thing, and so they actually had a conga, and they were like, all right, this is what you're gonna play. And I recently found the picture, and I posted like a side by side of like,
oh sweet,
he has a 5-year-old candy cakes, and
oh dude,
you know,
that's
and
awesome.
It was just really cool to kind of look back and be like, man, I've been doing this for
a long time,
a bit of time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's cool. It's nice that you can have supportive folks like that too. And I hear that story a lot also starting in church. I mean, like, because, you know, aside from the radio, that's really that's where you get exposed to music, you know, like, especially before, you know, pre-internet, this stuff. I mean, you're not, you know, that old, but still, you know, at that age, pre-internet, that stuff. Now kids have access to music a lot. You know, they'll hear it in their cars and they'll hear it around. But before that, it was kind of difficult. You weren't inundated with music all the time. So having that exposure to church music, having the exposure to parents that, you know, either listened to the radio, sang in a choir, somehow you had to get music in your life. It wasn't just everywhere like it is now, you know? So that's a pretty common story, is that, you know, I started in the church, or my parents played in the church or whatever. Because that was a really great way to get introduced to music, you know? So, and a lot of the best musicians come out of the church too, like full transparency. I mean, I was a church musician. I also started in the church with my folks, but man, I mean, a lot of the musicians you see, they're like, yeah, that's where I started. You know, it's just, you get that feeling, you get that groove, you get the sense of what music is really about, which is contributing to the greater whole. You know, like you're playing a part in the choir, you're playing a part in the music, you're coming together with that community. And that's to me what music is really about. It's a form of, I mean, in the Christian church where I went, we called it worship, right? But it's a form of appreciation. It's a form of putting out something outside of yourself to give back and to contribute to the world around you, to the community, and to everybody that's there, you know. And that connection is really important. That's my favorite part about music, actually, is that connection with other people. Man, I mean, think about all the amazing people we've gotten to meet and play with and perform with. And I mean, amazing musicians, people from other countries, people that don't even speak our language, but we get to play music with them. And man, like what an awesome opportunity, you know?
Yeah, totally.
So, what kind of gear are you using there? I see some Minol stuff around. I see, you know, I know you're sponsored by them and everything, but run us through some of the stuff you're using, like on a daily.
So this setup is in the garage for when Julian is sleeping and I need to, you know, record a video or keep, you know, working on something. So this is a Minol snare tap, and it's nice. I use it typically with like a brush, never a stick, because it's wood. It's like essentially like a very tiny cajon.
Okay.
So it has it's CM oak. So I think it's a nice sounding wood, but yeah. So this is comes off the stand pretty easily.
You use that for like rudiments and practice and that kind of stuff, or what do you use that for mostly?
I kind of use it in I'll use this as my snare along with the hi-hat. So in place of this, I'll have this. But if I have the right sticks, I might just set it up on the side like a side snare and have this here still. But you can practice rudiments on it. You can use it as a practice pad if you want, but it's really
very cool.
I call it to go.
Yeah. You know? Super portable, really small. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Totally.
It has a nice sound to
here I have some Minol. These are the Crasher hi-hats.
Okay.
These are signature Vinny Greb 8-inch.
Oh yeah.
These sound amazing.
Yeah.
And
how do you feel that like those 8-inch cymbals sound versus like the 11 or 12-inch, sort of a more standard hi-hat size?
I will say I was a little bit like, I don't know how these are, you know, because it's so small, but I was like, wow. And even people have commented like, wow, these sound really good.
Big sound.
And I was like, they sound great.
Wow. Okay.
For being small.
Awesome. Yeah. It's not always about it's not always the thing that you think it is. And sometimes staying traditional, like it has to be this size hi-hat and this size tom and this size whatever. Sometimes that can get you stuck in a rut where you would be more creative if you just let yourself explore a little bit, you know?
Totally. Yeah, man. Yeah. On that note, like how this setup came to be, like this percussion setup, I started exploring it a few years ago when Brandon and I, we were living in Corpus Christi, Texas. And he was still in flight school.
Training,
and we were like, you know what? He was only going to be there for 6 months. Let's get a tiny studio apartment. And I'm like, well, where am I going to put my drums?
Right.
You know, so
dude,
we had a garage that we kind of like had, but it's like Texas is 100 degrees, you know, most days. And so I would go out there, and I looked around, I'm like, there's no way I could set up a full kit. And I just started pulling some of the smallest parts of my drum set. I'm like, I'm going to use this cajon. And at that point, I figured out how to get a pedal mounted to it. I was just like, need to figure this out. Tiny snare. I was like, I need some like electronic, hooked up my little like SPDSX I was using at the time. And next thing I know, I was like, man,
this is a nice little kit.
This is cool. I'm going to record this. I recorded what I was doing. I just posted it randomly. My social media wasn't really anything that it was. I think maybe had like 500, 1,000 followers at the time. And I posted that video, and I woke up and it was like 10,000 views. And I'm like, whoa, people like this. I was like, I love this, and people are really enjoying this. I'm going to keep doing it. And from that point, it just kind of started evolving, and people are like, what are you doing? What is this? But it was that limitation that I couldn't set up a full kit. Let me try something else that I was able to just break out. And then at that point, I was just like, who says you have to use a traditional snare or traditional kick? Who says you have to do that? Like, you can do literally whatever you want.
Anything you want. That's right. Love it. Love it, man. That's that same attitude we were talking about earlier, you know, like you're working within your limitations. You know what you want to do. You have that goal and you're like, I'm going to make it happen. And then lo and behold, that's what everybody else is looking for too. Because guess what everybody else is working with? Limitations, right? Like no one has sky as the limit. Everybody's like, oh, I have this studio apartment, or I want to play drums, but I live in my car or whatever. You know, like, I mean, like everybody's got a limitation, and they're like, how do I make this happen? This is my dream, but I got to start where I'm at, you know? And that's amazing. I love that, man. That's an absolutely cool story, man. Right on. And look at what you're using now. I mean, you have a huge garage. You can put anything you want in it, and you're using the same similar sort of setup, right? You're using things that sound good, that make you, that speak to you on a musical level, that make you create, right?
It was like, and I could tell my sound was changing too. And I was moving from more of like a traditional sounding kit to just like, cause like when I hit a cowbell or I hit a crasher or I hit like a different sounding percussion instrument, whether it's a bongo or it changes the feel a little bit. Like I could be literally playing the same beat that I would be playing on the drum set.
Yeah.
But you start taking it and moving it over and it just opens up a whole new, a whole new world.
Yeah.
It was like, it was confirmation for me, like that I was moving in the right direction. When I was practicing in my garage, one of my neighbors, she's passing by, and I thought she was gonna ask me to stop playing. Sure. And she rolls up to the garage, and she's like, "Do you mind if I listen?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah." I was like, "Sure. Yeah, definitely." Yeah. And she was like, "I've had a migraine all day," and she said, "When I heard you play, it has stopped." Whoa. And I was like,
that is definitely the opposite of what you typically hear with drums, right? It's always like,
I wasn't playing like triple. It was like, I wasn't like just like playing traditional. I was playing like a very rhythmic, hypnotic. Like I had a loop going. It was like, it's
like a meditation,
like Afrocentric vibe that like even myself when I would listen back to it, I'm like, this is crazy. Like this is super cool. It's like, because I kept hearing like I kept hearing a full percussion section. Yeah. I'm like, how can I make myself sound like more than what I am? And at that point I started introducing like loops, the electronic pads to make loops, and then to start building on my sound. And you'll be able to really hear that come out in my album. Okay. Because I got loops in the background that are really, really setting the stage for the groove. Because sometimes, like, if you're just up top, you're playing the beat, but you're missing all that stuff underneath that's supporting.
And then you're hearing it in your head. You're hearing it. Yeah, you're hearing all that stuff, you know, like you want to get that out. Those layers, that texture is really important, man. Yeah. It's meditative. I mean, that at that point, it's like a meditation, you know, it's like a zone. You're getting into that rhythm, and that's, you know, the meditative studies that I've read about and that I've looked at are all about that rhythmic. They're not all involving drums, but often they are. I mean, that's why you see these like drum and percussion instruments in drum circles and meditation circles, and they have the hong, right? That like big circle thing that's a hand pan drum, whatever you want to call it. That's why those kinds of instruments find their way into meditation, because that's the rhythm is what gets us into that meditative, that space, that headspace where we can just zone into that, and it helps to relieve us, relax us, and, you know, put us in a better, higher plane, in a different vibration, right?
Totally.
Yeah. So then talk to me a little bit about so are you still doing the beach drum shed? Have you been doing that?
Not so much. I did one so far this year, but I kind of just keep pushing it. I still put it out there, and I actually, it was kind of cool that you mentioned it, because I renamed it. It's still Beach Drum Shed, but it also is, the name is Drum Therapy now, because it's supposed to be kind of reconnecting with the environment, and, you know, being outside and drumming and sharing that rhythm, you know, cool. with other people. So I still post videos on it, and it's still doing really well. Like people still all over the world hashtag Beach Drum Shed, Spain, Portugal, all Russia, you know. So it started off pretty small in Pensacola, Florida, and it just kind of evolved. It was kind of funny because I remember, like, I was like just outside kind of playing just with one other friend, and prior to going out with him, I was going out by myself all the time, kind of just playing and practicing. But it wasn't until I brought someone else out there that people started like stopping. They're like, "What's this called?" And I'm just like, "I don't know." Like, we're just kind of playing.
We're on the beach like, and we're drumming.
Well, you gotta have a name. Like, how can I look you up? And I'm like, at that point, I had nothing. I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like, so that was kind of like, oh, I need to kind of come up with a name for this type of thing. And from there, I started making signs and just trying to promote it. And I spend majority of my time promoting Akhamie music, but I still do make sure I tend to the beach drum set because it's a good vibe. It's like, and people love, you know, going outside and, you know, sharing music and rhythm and drums and stuff like that. So.
That's what music is for, man. That's what we're supposed to do with music, I think. Connect with other people, right? That's the idea, man.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I'd like to show people we're going to give away. And I think the secret word, if we're cool with this, is going to be drum therapy. How about that? Does that sound all right? So, so if you're watching this and when you're watching this, send a direct message, a DM, either on Instagram or Facebook at SOR Santa Ana, and direct message us with the word drum therapy. And the first person that messages us is going to win this thing that Cammie's going to show you, the tambrim, which I had to learn about today. I was educated. Educate us a little bit about that instrument. What does it do?
So you traditionally play it with a stick, but I don't have one close by, so. But yeah, muting it, if you mute it, and if you unmute it.
Awesome.
So it has a unique sound, but for the drum set players, you can kind of put it on your traditional, probably like 14 size snare drum, push it to the side, and it'll kind of interact with it a little bit. Okay. So, and then if you're playing, I would not hit it with a normal drumstick. I would hit it with like a rod, hex rod, or anything but a stick, a normal drumstick.
Okay. Is it too loud or too?
What? You don't want to dent this head.
Oh, you know? I see. You can damage it.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. Cool. And you play it, you seem to play it mostly with your hands and fingers and stuff though, yeah?
Yeah, well, just because I don't think I have any sticks. I don't have any, I think my rods are inside, but I would play it with, it comes, it's supposed to come with a plastic stick, I think, and it didn't. So I usually play with like just rods, something like with a softer sound for the for that purpose. But yeah, you can play with your fingers. You can play with a hex rod or normal rods, pro mark rods.
Awesome. Cool. So again, that's drum therapy, and direct message at SOR Santa Ana. If you're watching this, you should be watching it on our feed, and we will give that to you. The first person to direct message us with drum therapy will win this tambrin, and I'm going to message myself because I want to win that because I need more percussion in my life. All that stuff looks really cool. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Cammie. That is really cool, man.
Yeah, no worries, man.
So the beach drum shed thing, that was pretty cool. I loved a lot of those videos, man. That was awesome. Thanks for sharing those and doing that. That's really, really cool, man. I appreciate it. Just all of the, man, everything. Every time I see you doing something new, I'm like, man, Cammie's already doing such awesome stuff. She's at the top of her game, man. And then I look again and I'm like, dang, dude, something even more. Now I got to follow you again, man. I got to keep watching this. I got to follow this other hashtag, man. You're doing awesome stuff over here too, man. Dang, you know, and if that wasn't enough, all this stuff, now you got a book that's coming out, right?
Yeah. So this app called Graphy is essentially like a learning type of app. So their premise is no one's reading as much. So how do you still consume information and continue learning? So they created this like interactive app that allows you to kind of go through, and you want to get better at fitness, you want to get better at, you know, yoga, cooking, drumming, guitar, whatever. Yeah. You find your thing and you can go through, and it's a little more personal than YouTube, I would say. Okay. Because you can have the creator can make quizzes. They can test you on the knowledge. They can and that's why it's a little different, I would say.
Kind of interactive. So yeah. You can interact with them, and you as the content creator can, so you're publishing the first chapter, I know pretty soon, or it is already published. And then once that comes out, people read it, you can give them some quizzes, or they can give feedback to you like, hey, I want to learn more about this or that. And you can add that then to the content that comes later on. Yeah. Yeah,
totally.
Cool.
Yeah. So it was a cool opportunity. And it was kind of like, I was in the midst of working on my album, and I was like trying to trying to break away from doing too many things that were gonna like slow down the progress, because I'm trying to get it done before the end of the year.
Okay.
November I want it to come out, but I was like, I went back and I looked at my list of like my goals, and that was one of the things that was on my list of, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I was like, I want to create informational, instructional type of book. And then this opportunity to do it comes out, and I'm like, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to have to, you know, it's not my priority right now. But then they come back and they're just like, so if you get your first chapter loaded up before the, you know, within the next 2 days, we'll give you $400. And I was like, all right, this is the priority right now. Let's make this happen. Yeah,
absolutely. So, I love doing this stuff for free just as much as the next guy, but let me get them $400.
yeah, totally. And I had every intention of doing it just to do it, and, you know, to put the content out there and to share it. Yeah. But I understand that they are on the other side are trying to they're trying to quickly move forward. Okay. And so they're trying to motivate the creators to get in there and start creating content and then start pushing it to drive people to their app. Absolutely. And to obviously to sell
their product. So that's out now. How do I find that? How do I get a hold of that? Chapter 1's out, and then how long is the book going to be, and where do I find it?
So it's all through the app. It's called Graphy. Graphy. Okay. And so you have to download the app. Okay. And then you go on. There's various books, but if you type in Akhamie, or if you DM me or email me, I can send you a link for it. But perfect. Yeah, it's pretty easy to find. Awesome. And there's a little trailer that you can watch to see if you're interested in kind of looking into the book. But I kind of try to make it so it's a little more, it's for musicians, it's for drummers. It could be for anyone, because I call it finding your rhythm. Yeah. So everyone has a heartbeat. Everyone has rhythm, you know? Yeah. So that was kind of my idea. So to answer your question, there are 12 chapters. Okay. And so I've been brainstorming the second chapter. It's going to be about counting. Okay. And how I have used different metronomes and things like that to really hone my counting and subdividing. One and two and one and you know, like these. And then so like I took a video this morning of Julian. He was doing his rocker. Okay. And it was I could feel a rhythm in between it, and I took a video of it, and I was like, do you guys see this? Cool. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah. When you get deep in rhythms like that, you start seeing them everywhere, I think, you know, like rhythm, just like we talked about, rhythm is everywhere, you know, it's fundamental, man. Mm-hmm. And you do a lot of work in odd meters and odd times. I mean, we call them odd meters, but at this point, it seems like native for you, man. I see you playing in like 7 and 13 and 5 and all these different time signatures, you know, and I'm just like, man, it feels complicated to me when I talk about it. I'm counting like 2s and 3s, and you're over here just like, man, like you got one in the left foot, one in the right foot, one in the right hand, left hand, and then you're like clicking something else. I'm like, man, you have a mastery of rhythm that I will never, ever have time to put in that much work. It is awesome, and it's so cool. How did you get into the mixed meter and like the polyrhythms and all that kind of stuff?
It kind of just happened after getting out of the Navy, and my sister was like, hey, check out like Afrobeat. Afrobeat is kind of, you know, picking up. And I was like, I kind of was already like looking into it, but I started listening to it, and I can hear like a 3-2 or 2-3 clave in the background. And then I'm like, hold on, they also use this in salsa. Like, and then like things just started to connect. And I'm like, okay, 2-3 clave, Africa, Latin America, there's somewhat of a connection there. And you know, and then so it was like I was like, man, I need to get bongos. I need to learn this stuff. Like, and I had like when I was a kid, I had a conga for a little bit, and I mean, just getting back into it, it was like kind of just it was there still, and so it was really cool to be selected to go on tour with a Latin artist because like I thought I was good enough to play like the Latin style of music, salsa. But when you get someone who's Grammy nominated, and it just really is like, deep. okay, I think
Yeah.
I'm still learning.
I mean, right.
I'm doing something right.
I've come a long way. I'm way better than I have been, but it's deep, man. You start getting into those rhythms and then the culture of that stuff from Latin America, from the African rhythms, from all of the really deep, like like spiritual connection rhythms, like the stuff that they were doing before rhythms were written down or anything, and they've been doing it for thousands of years. You're like, man, there is something here and it is deep, man.
Yeah, I love that stuff. And so like, it was, I remember one of my favorite drummers, Horatio Hernandez, like I saw him doing stuff with like clave on the foot and, doing like all of these patterns. And I'm like looking at him, I'm like, he sounds like a full percussion section. And I just had the interest to be able to do that. And like, even as a younger drummer, 12, 13, I was like, all right, I need to get a cowbell. I need to have a cowbell on my foot doing the and or the E. Like how can I mimic this? And from there, like listening to those rhythms, it will start to come out in your playing. Yeah. Because it's in your mind.
That's it. Yeah, it starts with listening, man. That's a really good point. And like who you're listening to is going to be who you sound like, and who you're imitating and who you're trying to practice along with. That's what you're going to sound like, So that is so important, picking the right mentors and the right folks to listen to. So that's who you sort of started with? And then who else should we be listening to for that kind of stuff, like polyrhythms and Latin rhythms?
So definitely Horatio, and then Antonio Sanchez kind of does some of that too. He's played with like Pat Metheny. Oh wow! And so he like his style was just mind blowing as well. Like right now, Perdito Martinez, like he is more of a hand percussionist, but he'll like sit on a cowbell, and to watch him play is just it's just amazing. He's awesome. Like slapping the cajon, like got two huge cymbals up here, and just like, and I'm just like, just watching him, it just makes my mind like, oh, this is cool. Awesome. What can I take? What can I and add to my vibe? But it really just like, hey, take off the barriers, the limitations. Like there are no limits. If you have and sometimes my students will ask me, they're like, is this okay? Like I know it's early on, you want to learn the fundamentals and stuff like that. But like, sure. Yeah, but like it's just like, is it okay if I put like my wood block here? Like, is that right? I'm like, yeah, go for it.
Do it. And I like that you're being creative, as a matter of fact. Yeah, really nice.
So explaining the differences between like creativity and then like just straight up like you are not holding sticks right. There's like so
there's a difference.
Trying to find that balance.
Yeah, if you don't have the right technique in certain things, you can actually injure yourself. I mean, guitar is the same way. Holding the sticks the right way, holding the guitar the right way, singing the right way. I mean, each instrument has some technique things that need to be there really to prevent injury, as long as you're being safe about it and being careful about it, that's really what a lot of that technique stuff is there for. If I'm a young percussionist, I'm a young drummer and starting out, and I'm trying to get on the drums. I'm sort of like you, I connected with drums. I like it. It's my instrument. What should I be doing? How should I start out? Who should I be listening to? What's a good way that I should start practicing? What's important when I begin?
I would say definitely dig into the rudiments and your drum rudiments, like paradiddle, double stroke roll, single stroke roll, a drag, a buzz roll. Like these are things that I kind of learned early on when I started taking lessons, but that's literally the stuff they wanted to hear on my audition when I got into the Navy. So like knowing about that stuff and knowing how to apply it to the drum set, like that's the foundation right there. So like even if you see some person chopping on the drums, they're just like 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 that's a rudiment. Like those are, so if you can be able to look at someone playing something and you're like, oh, you know what? That's a 5-stroke roll mixed in with but to have that language to know that it's almost like I call it the alphabet, to have that, be able to apply it and then be able to teach it. It's like I would say it's one of the most important things.
The fundamentals. Start with the basic stuff. There's a lot of that. I know at School of Rock we teach that. I'm sure in your lessons you're teaching that as well. It's really important to have those fundamentals down, to understand those parts, because exactly like you're talking about, you can pick apart words and sentences. We talk about music as a language, and that's really true. You're hearing these songs, which are like books that are written or chapters that are written, right? And then within the chapter, there's paragraphs, and within the paragraphs are sentences, and within the sentences are words. And you're talking about adding all of that stuff up, from the bottom. If you don't know ABC, it's very difficult to write a master work of art, right? Because you don't know your fundamental letters and all that stuff, That's really good advice. And what should I start with, a drum kit? Should I start with a practice pad? Should I start, what should I start practicing and learning on?
It's if your parents are cool with you getting a kit, I know there are electronic kits out there. You really don't need to, but I understand the excitement of having a drum set and having the feel of working on the coordination. Right. So I do not say yes or no to either. Like, it's kind of up to the person, the student. But I did not start off on a drum set. Like, my parents did not buy me a drum set.
It was the conga, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I played the conga for a little bit, and then and I started on that when I was like 5. Yeah. So between like 5 and 13, I had a practice pad.
Oh wow.
And I was, so that's what I was doing. I was doing rudiments, and I was like just in visualizing playing on a drum set. I used to set up like I used to make a kit really. Take like a stand. This was my hi-hat. My practice pad was my snare. And I'm just, using my normal, foot, shoe or whatever's kind of close by to create a kick. Yeah. But, you just kind of make it work. Yeah. And I have some videos of like little kids, over in like West Africa and, overseas. Sure. And they don't have drum sets. No, and they're making it work. Yeah. They're making it work. And it's like so good. Cool, because it's just like, it literally is it's whatever you can create. So like, if you can't get a drum set, don't let that stop you. Yeah, if you can't get a practice pad, don't let that stop you. Yeah. You can literally practice this stuff with your hands. Yeah. You can find some sticks outside. That's kind of what I mentioned in my first chapter too. It's there you go. Don't limit yourself. Don't like, I can't, I don't have this, I don't have that. It's like, what do you have? Yeah. Focus on that. I love that. Move forward from there.
I love that message. I love that motivation. I love that. We've been talking about that all through our conversation. It's like when you know what you want to do, when you have that idea, when you have that in mind, you don't let anything stop you. And it's not what you don't have and what you can't do. It's where are you? What can you do? Where you start now using what you got, doing what you can. And eventually you get to the point where, I mean, man, that's such a great story, starting on the congas and having a practice pad for, whatever that 6-7 years, before you were finally able to get a kit. But then when you got that kit, that's when that preparation met that opportunity, right? And that's exactly what we've been talking about this whole way. It's like, you have to prepare and be ready, and don't let it stop you. That way, when the opportunity will come, you have to be patient. You have to be ready for it when it comes. So you're waiting, but while you're waiting, there's a lot you can do. There's a lot of that stuff. You can practice, you can get your rudiments, you can get your stuff down, and not letting that limitation, everyone's got limitations, and not letting that stop you from doing what you're doing. That's fantastic. Yeah. I really like that a lot, Akhamie. I really appreciate your time today. And I want to make sure that we shout out. So we're going to, at Akhamie Keys, right? Or no, at Akhamie Music.
At Akhamie Music, or dot music if you're talking about Instagram. At Akhamie.music for Instagram. Okay. Akhamie Music on Facebook. Akhamie.com is my website. And
actually,
but Googled mostly, if you search or type in Akhamie Music, when I first started the LLC Akhamie Music, I was like, what do I need to do? I need to take the name on every single
you got
platform.
It. Absolutely. Yeah, you got it. And Akhamie is not a super common name. So it's like, it pops up first. It's like everywhere, So Akhamie, Akhamie Music, AKHAMIE. So make sure and check Akhamie. I'll give her a follow on the Instagrams, on the Facebooks. Check that stuff out. I'm not going to have to tell you to do that, because once you find out, I think even watching this video, you can get a little excited just from your spirit, man. I really appreciate your vibe, and your spirit and your energy is awesome. I always appreciated playing with you, man. You've always been a fantastic drummer, and to see you developing, and all the guys from the Navy band, but to see everybody developing and doing this stuff, it's really, really cool. I'm glad that you're just, man, sticking with it, and people are noticing that what you have to offer is really amazing. It's really awesome stuff. So it's not a tough sell, man. Everybody's already following you, and if they're not, they should be, man. So it's awesome.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for spending time with School of Rock, man. And it's been a really fun and educational chat. I got a lot out of it. And if you like the video, make sure and share it. I'll probably tag you on social media and all that stuff if it's cool. And we'll make sure we'll get you a shout out and everything. And then hopefully somebody by now has already messaged me and we can give away that awesome tambourine, which I learned today. That's a brand new one for me. So it's tambourine without the jangles on it. You know, like it's super cool, man. I'm really excited about that. So
and it's another on the go, you know, working on your finger rhythms. You know, I love things that are easy to take.
Yeah, you put it in your backpack, do whatever you want with it, man. You know, take it to the jam, take it to the sesh, do your meditation, man. You know, do your meditation on that. That's a really a great thing, you know. So Akhamie, thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you coming out to School of Rock and talking about all this percussion stuff. It's just been a really exciting conversation with you. We're going to get you on School of Rock, and we'll get you all the shout outs and all the good stuff. Thanks for giving away that awesome device. Yes, School of Rock, man. We appreciate you so much. We appreciate all our fantastic musicians, our instructors, the guests that we have on. And we're looking forward to hopefully having you in for some workshops as well and some camps and stuff through the school once we get open and get everything running. So it'll be nice to have you around. I'm looking forward to playing with you again, man. You know, it'll be a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, man. Let's put it out there. Let's put that energy out there and make it happen.
It's gonna happen, man. Absolutely. I really appreciate it, Akhamie. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you again next time. Take care, buddy.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye. Sweet.
School of Rock. Santa Ana.